Throughout history, empires rise and fall. Some empires rise from the ash of the previous mighty empire, and some empires formed by the union of various tribes. Empires compete against each other, trying to prove their superiority. Countless lands have become the battlefield of these competing empires, and the Indonesian archipelago is no exception. Indonesian archipelago throughout history has become one of the battlefields for empires worldwide. Mighty empires, native or non-native, attempted to gain control over the archipelago for the delicious and expensive spices. The archipelago's strategic location also motivated the empires to unite the whole archipelago under one banner. Empires such as the Sriwijaya Empire, a mighty empire that controlled most of the western part of modern Indonesia, also benefited from the archipelago's strategic location, especially the Malacca Strait that connected the east and west. Centuries later, Majapahit, under Prime Minister Gajah Mada and his oath to unite Nusantara, attempted and succeeded in uniting most of Nusantara. However, those empires' legacy didn't last long. Soon enough, other empires replaced them. Our story occurred in a small but significant spot in the archipelago, the Spice Island. It is home to numerous cultures and also rich in history. In the past, this archipelago was controlled by various sultanates. However, I'm incapable of explaining every last one of them in one video, so we'll only focus on the Ternate Sultanate and its legacy in Indonesian history. Before we get to the Ternate Sultanate, allow me to explain why there were sultanates there in the first place. The short answer for that is through trading. As for the long answer, there's a reason why the Moluccan was called the Spice Island back then. They got spices, especially clove and nutmeg. The colonists loved their nutmeg to the point they would kill for it. Literally. Before the killing started though, people throughout the world came to the Moluccan simply for trading, including merchants from the Middle East, the origin of Islam. The theory stated that Islam was brought by these Middle Eastern merchants and was accepted by the locals. Ternate Sultanate existed at the end of the 15th century, or to be precise, 1486. The Sultanate was created by Sultan Zainal Abidin. Actually, the kingdom of Ternate had existed before the Sultanate. However, it was Sultan Zainal Abidin who turned the kingdom of Ternate into the Sultanate of Ternate. The Sultanate thrived by benefiting from its most famous natural resources, the spices. As mentioned earlier, the spices brought many people to the Moluccan archipelago. Those people included merchants from various kingdoms and sultanates in Nusantara, merchants from the Middle East and various regions around the world, including Europe. In the 16th century, the Ternate Sultanate sought to expand its influence. The Sultanate expanded to the shore of Celebes and Papua. This expansionist sultanate behavior was pretty similar to their neighbor, Tidore Sultanate. The expansion was aimed at gaining more natural resources, spreading their sphere of influence, and then other typical reasons for doing some expansion stuff. Now let's get into the core of my video. The political shenanigans that happened in and around Ternate Sultanate. I said shenanigans because there are a lot of things to talk about. Ternate Sultanate was one of the members of Moluccu Raha. It was a union or an alliance between four main sultanates in the Moluccan archipelago: Ternate, Tidore, Bacan, and Jailolo. I'm not sure how this alliance would go on, but I do believe that this alliance wasn't very effective in the first place. It's a long story. First of all, conflict still happened. Before the mighty Ternate and Tidore Sultanate existed, there was the Sultanate of Bacan. Bacan was the strongest in the Moluccan archipelago before Ternate and Tidore. Bacan Sultanate was also huge, even managing to stretch the empire to Papua. They expanded to Seram Island, then Raja Ampat. However, when the Ternate Sultanate came into existence, Ternate and Bacan had an unavoidable conflict of supremacy. Ternate Sultanate, in a territorial expansion, managed to conquer Makian Island, Bacan Sultanate's territory. However, the occupation managed to be repelled by the Bacan-Tidore coalition. Ternate also experienced what half of the world experienced at the time, the arrival of the Europeans. During the reign of Bayanublah, the first Portuguese convoy arrived at the Moluccan archipelago, led by Admiral Antonio de Abreu. The Sultanate talked to the Portuguese. The Sultanate sent the Sultan's brother, and the Portuguese sent Francisco Serrao. The talk resulted in the Portuguese being allowed to build the Talucop fortress, which is a fort that looks ridiculous. The Portuguese weren't the only ones interested in the Moluccan archipelago, or the eastern part of Indonesia as a whole. There was also As previously mentioned, the Moluccan was pretty famous. The merchants from around the world came to the archipelago to trade. Islam came through the merchants. Henceforth, the Sultanate existed. The Ottomans also had an interest in the Nusantara. Turkish relations with the kingdoms in the archipelago could be traced back to the 12th century when Turkish scholars visited. However, the first formal political relation between the Ottomans and the sultanates in the archipelago was formed in the 16th century. The diplomatic relation was between the Ottoman and the Aceh Sultanate. After that, the Ottomans sought to expand its influence in the Indonesian archipelago. The Ottoman formed diplomatic relations with Mataram, Demak, and Ternate. Ternate, or the eastern part of Indonesia in general, got the Ottoman interested. So they sent a convoy there led by Kortokulu Hizir. I do not know how to spell it. However, the Ottoman got caught in a battle against the Portuguese. And lost. The Europeans, especially the Portuguese and the Spanish, could freely monopolize the area, at least until the Dutch arrived and then Ternate became a part of the Dutch East Indies. Then became a part of Indonesia in 1949. There you go, the Ternate Sultanate relationship with the other Nusantara Sultanate and the Middle East. I couldn't really go far from it, because this video is a task given by my lecturer and I'm a very obedient college student. So have a nice day.